Question is for the Premier. Premier, we've all been shocked to see the wildfire disaster in Hawaii and the challenges around the late evacuation of residents. Also, who can forget the devastating bushfires in recent times in Australia and Tasmania and the terrible floods in the last 12 months that impacted lives and businesses in Tasmania. Premier, DPAC has the responsibility and oversight for Tasmania's implementation of the Royal Commission into National Natural Disaster Recommendations. Therefore, you have responsibility to ensure that the state implements the recommendations of the Royal Commission into National Natural Disaster Recommendations. Premier, can you please confirm that you are confident that the Department of Police, Fire and Emergency Management, DPFEM, as the lead agency for implementing these specific recommendations, are undertaking and exercising evacuation planning for our most at-risk cities and towns? Also, how much of the funding available for state agencies to assist with the implementation of the recommendations has been allocated to DPFM?
Honourable Premier.
I thank the honourable member for the question. Very important question indeed, and over the last 13 years or less, in fact, there's been significant natural disasters. The 2011 significant floods in January of that year, the 2013 Denali bushfires, 2016 floods in June, where we had a loss of 3 lives. 3 Tasmanians lost their lives in 2016, Mr Speaker. Tragically, then we had fires in 2019, if my memory serves me correctly, and again, just last year in October, very serious flooding with significant damage to many properties and households and indeed sporting infrastructure as well. And my understanding is that the frequency of these natural disasters, particularly bushfires, is increasing and will increase, which is why we need to ensure that we do embark on very important reform when it comes to our emergency services, but also reform to ensure that we have a sustainable funding base for our state emergency services as well. This is important, and there's been a number of reports, including the Blake Review in more recent times, that has pointed to just those circumstances and the need for change to ensure that we do have a very robust and sustainable funding and indeed service as well. There's been significant investment when it comes to our TAS Alert system. There's been significant investment when it comes to our TAS GRN network, and if my memory serves me correctly, we've invested some $756 million into our TAS GRN network, which is really that state-of-the-art communications system will be state-of-the-art communications system, Mr Speaker, of which will support our SES and indeed Tasmanians when it comes to natural disasters. Now, when it comes to the Royal Commission into National Natural Disaster Arrangements, many of the recommendations supported work already underway in our state, and I point to that to support the further implementation of recommendations prioritised by National Cabinet. Our government committed $4.965 million over 3 years in the 22-23 budget, and that builds on our implementation of recommendations underway, such as $1.379 million committed in 21-22 to deliver Tasmania's implementation of a nationally consistent Australian fire danger rating system, the rollout of the new Australian warning system to provide consistent warnings to Australian communities and help everyone know what to do when they see a warning level, and indeed our government's commitment to Aboriginal cultural burning in Tasmania to support joint land management outcomes between the Parks and Wildlife Service and Tasmanian Aboriginal people, working with the Australian Government and critical infrastructure owners and operators on national reforms to uplift security and resilience to protect the essential services that Tasmanians rely on, contributing to the development of a recovery exercising toolkit through the Community Outcomes and Recovery Subcommittee, and 3 pilots were collaboratively developed and delivered across 3 states, including Tasmania, to test and refine the toolkit. And the toolkit is now being used to guide the delivery of recovery exercises across the state, and indeed... my apologies, I thank the honourable member for the question.
Honourable member for Clark.
Yeah.